Welcome to the post-event of World Summit on Digital Built Environment from last year. So this is the last event of the 2020 WDBE event. The main event was held in virtual Helsinki and virtual Tallinn inside the universe created by Zone. And today we are finalizing the talks, and today's topic will be circular economy in the built environment and how our digital solutions and digitalization initiatives can support the transformation of our industry and the transition towards a circular world. We have gathered a program for today, especially looking into 3 countries, so Finland, the Netherlands and Estonia, to give some examples of the roadmaps for the work ahead towards our circularity goals of 2030 and 2050 in the mentioned countries. This event is held together with the Netherlands Embassy in Finland and in Estonia and in the Baltics, and continues discussions from our side event during WDBE 2020. I will shortly give you an overview of today's agenda about the presentations that we have and also the discussion, the open discussion, which will follow in the second part of the event. And also I will give you a brief glimpse to the basic functionalities of this Google Meet platform, helping you to participate in the discussions, putting in comments for the presenters, and even joining the discussion on the part after 3 p.m. Helsinki time. So kicking off the presentations today is the duo from the Ministry of Environment in Finland, Heikki Sorasahi, Senior Specialist on Circular Economy, and Minna Perhuhta, who is the Ministerial Advisor, and will be talking from more so on the point of digitalization initiatives in Finland supporting this big effort. Following that, we will hear from Suzanne Elias, Secretary Circular Economy Implementation Program from the Netherlands and the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management about the timeline in the Netherlands. And finalizing the first part of the discussions will be Jan Saar, Head of Digital Construction at the Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications. And we will hear great examples of the e-construction platform and the tools that it will provide to the market and our built environment. To kick off the open discussion part of the event, we will have a case example by Vesa Silver, the CEO of Motiva here in Finland. And Vesa will be talking about how they are developing a circular economy platform, which will help strengthening the ecosystem and connecting dots online to enable the material flows that are needed for circular economy in the built environment. But now I would invite Heikki to prepare for his presentation, and I will show you quickly the instructions about how you can get comfortable, view the presentations today, and submit comments and questions when you feel so. So to enable the presenter view, you can hover your mouse on the screen that you are now looking at and open up the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Click the 3 dots on the right-hand side to open up a menu, and there you can select Change Layout and select the one that is the best suitable for your viewing experience. For comments, you can go to the top bar on the right-hand side as well and select the chat function and just easily type in your message to the whole crowd here today. And in the open discussion section, use the raise hand button in the bottom toolbar to let me, as your moderator, know when you would like to comment on something, and then I will give you your turn when we get to it. So these are the basic functions of the event today. We will also be using some tools from the Mentimeter, but instructions for that will follow in the open discussion part. So for now, please note that the recording of the event has begun, and the event will be shared online afterwards, and the recording is made available through WDBE.org website, and anything you say on this broadcast will be captured to the recording. To finalize the introduction, my name is Sami Lankiniemi. I'm the head of partnerships at KiraHub, one of the main organizers of WDBE, together with RIL and the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications in Estonia. So Heikki, I will now allow you to share your screen and start your presentation together with Minna.
Okay, thank you, Sami. Please let me know if you can see my slides.
It is working wonderfully. Go ahead, Heikki.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon from very snowy Helsinki. And many thanks for the invitation. Great to be a part of such an international event. So my name is Heikki Sorasahi, and I work as a senior specialist on circular economy at the Ministry of Environment of Finland. And I will share the presentation with my colleague Minna Perähuhta, who focuses on aspects of digitalization in the built environment in the latter half of this presentation. But before Minna's turn, I tell you briefly about Finnish strategic program to promote the circular economy. The program has been prepared in cross-administrative cooperation during last year, and will actually be published tomorrow morning here in Finland. And to be precise, it is a program proposal for the ministerial working group on climate and energy policy. But hopefully, and we expect that the decision of the implementation of the program will be made during this spring. But I just want to highlight that it is a program proposal, not a accepted program and final program yet. But anyhow, real estate sector and built environment sector was chosen as one of the several focus areas of the program. And I will come back to it after I went through the general vision and objectives of the Finnish Circular Economy Strategic Program. So the general vision of the program is Finland 2035, a carbon neutral circular economy as the foundation of our successful economy. And we explain this vision through 5 sub-points. The first one is sustainable products and services, as well as sharing economy are the mainstream in our everyday lives. The second one is that our choices are future-proof and reinforce the fair welfare society. The third one is less is more. Use of resources is sustainable and materials stay in circulation longer and safer. Fourth one is the breakthrough of circular economy is made by digital solutions, smart regulation, and by responsible investors, businesses, and consumers. And the fifth but not least is Circular Finland as a strong player and offerer of sustainable solutions in the international market. And then the objectives side. First to mention that among many other countries in Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, among many other countries, also Finland has committed to an objective to reach sustainable, efficient use of natural resources by 2030. However, it as such is not concrete and verifiable as an objective. So the program proposal of the Circular Economy Program proposes Finland to set concrete, verifiable, and ambitious objectives for the use of natural resources. And those proposals are here. The first one is that in 2035, the domestic total consumption of primary raw materials will not exceed the 2015 level. Second one is that resource productivity doubles by 2035 compared to the situation in 2015. And the third one is that the circular material use, CMU, doubles by 2035. That is a very new indicator from Eurostat. But as I mentioned, this is still a proposal phase, and we accept to have decisions of the program later this spring, and also these objectives. But yes. Then jumping into the real estate and built environment sector, which was one of the working groups in this work. Just as we are people from 30 different countries, as I understood, which is great, just to give some basic information about the sector in Finland. As in many other countries, the impact of the sector is huge. It employs 500,000 people, which is actually 20% of the Finnish labor force. The sector's value added is 15% of the GDP, so the economic impact is huge. But unfortunately, the productivity growth for decades has been zero, and also the R&D activity has been relatively low compared to many other sectors. But from circular economy point of view, the potential is of course huge. We know that most of steel, concrete, wood, and plastics used in Finland flows through the sector, so the potential is there. When we talk about the use phase of buildings, we could use those properties much more efficient. For example, in Helsinki, there is 3 times more empty office space compared to international reference cities. And this information is before the coronavirus period. But lot potential. And when it comes to administrative work at the moment, the reform of the Land Use and Building Act is currently under work, and that highly stresses digitalisation, low carbon circular economy solutions, and life cycle thinking. We look forward to implement the renewed act in 2022 or 2023. The circular economy program includes altogether over 40 recommendations for actions, and some also for the real estate and built environment sector. It doesn't go too deep into digitalization, but involves that as well. But here are the main kind of strategic action proposals. The program encourages to implement economic incentives nationally and also in companies in order to create and enable competition with circular and low carbon solutions within the sector. We don't have any decisions or ideas what exactly we are going to implement or can be implemented, but we are studying different options. The second one is that we need, in order to boost the change, we need people involved in the change. That means increasing awareness and knowledge about circularity and low carbon solutions within the key people and decision makers of the sector. That could be boosted through creating a change network for key leaders in order to take these topics into concrete action of this sector. And the third one relates to the topic of today. It is the development of digital footprint and information management in order to take or enable data-based decision-making in the sector, decision-making that prioritizes low carbon and circular solutions. That is absolutely a key requirement in order to take this change further. And to support that, we look forward to be able to steer more R&D funding towards this sector. And also we have recognized some some other general important topics that we look forward to promote through the implementation of the circular economy program. For example, to development of steering mechanisms of the sector when it comes to making more efficient the change of use of properties or sharing of spaces and so on. And also the circular public procurement criteria, development of the criteria and implementation of the criteria in at least in all public tendering processes. But that was briefly and generally about the circular economy program. Next, I let Minna to turn more on aspects of digitalization when it comes to Finnish built environment. Thank you from my side at this point. Can you hear me now?
Thanks, Heikki. I will continue directly. Minna Perähuhta, Ministerial Advisor from the Ministry of Environment, Department of Built Environment. Senior Administrator there, more or less, since 2000. What I want to tell first, why it might be interesting to see and to look a bit how we try to solve this digital problem, the same problems as we have everywhere. Why it might be interesting to look at it in Finland is that we have in the whole country the population of the same as St. Petersburg, the neighbor. So we are very few, but at the same time, we have very scarce and very kind of small-scale administrative structure. We have these 310 independent municipalities, and all of those municipalities, they have their own ways of doing land use plans, giving building permits totally independently. Then we have tens of state authorities, tens of processes between those two municipalities and states, and we have a very strong regional level. So we are more or less over administrated ourselves, but it also makes us a very good test bed how if we manage to make data flow in this administrative jungle, it is applicable anywhere. The smallest municipalities in Finland, they have about 600 inhabitants, and the biggest one, Helsinki, 600,000. And the same rules apply to all of them. So there is no exception according to the size. The next, Heikki, please. We, as Heikki told, the Land Use and Building Act is going to be renewed. It's under process now. Same time, a couple of other acts concerning, for example, cultural environment or landscape are to be renewed. But in this situation where municipalities have very strong independence on land use planning and building permissions, the legislation itself, it stays in a very general level. So we only envy the legislation on building data of Netherlands or Norway. There's no legislation about the building data as such, and we are trying to renew that now too. What we started already in 2013, 14, 15, were the principles guiding the whole stuff, and these first 9 ones, they are principles guiding the public sector digital generally all the digital processes and development. The big ones there are the number 6. Ask new data only once. That is a difficult, very demanding point. Then in KiraDigi project, where we, together with the public sector and private sector, we, through different types of pilots and demonstrations, we searched for the digital kind of where we are aiming to, and then we made the number 10. You have to link the land use plans and decision making to the digital format. Otherwise, the digital format will endlessly stay duplicate, and there's no actually there's no key to guide the development. So the number 10 came with the KiraDigi. And now later on, this also, it tells about how the development has gone during last years. My data and the data security, cyber security has become a big issue. And it is visible now here in the principles. But we try to keep these as a mirror for all the development work we are doing. And I must say, as I said, the number 6, that's bad. That's something that it really makes you to, you have to renew everything you have done so far if you take this seriously. Next. So where we are now, we started a couple of years ago, very strong work towards the interoperability of the data, defining the basics of what we are talking about when we are talking about a building, what we are talking about when we are talking about street, city, window, door, all this. And the scale now, we started with the very core data. And we went very deeply to the semantics of the terms and the logical framework and the logical data model of what we are talking about. What does it consist about? And the biggest kind of a fundamental change in thinking is that if we take, for example, the cultural environment, cultural elements and the essence, cultural history is something that needs to be defined, but cultural environment doesn't define the building. It doesn't define the wall. It doesn't define the door or whatever 3D element, but it is an additional information to the 3D element. And I must say, for the experts on cultural environment field, this is a total change of thinking. And at the same time, they have been kind of relieved that, finally, can we please, who serves us with the basic information? Where do we get the basic information of the built environment? Yes, we take it and we add our information to that. That was fine. Once it's kind of the process inside the field is gone through, and that is a kind of a process of not data, that's a process in minds and within the expert field. That is the thing that takes time in this huge change of thinking. And so far, it has been very well welcomed in the private sector. Private sector sees the benefits of this change immediately. Once they get the public permit data, for example, as a basis of a normal, their own data needs. And so that they can rely on that this public data is reliable, accurate, up to date. And they can add on it, they can build on it, they can even resell it, and so on. The benefits are quite clear. The problem is our old data silos. That's evident, and that's everywhere. So now we are trying to, with a combination of legislation and persuasion, common sense, and common technique-oriented attitude, we are heading towards, and we are working very strongly with the semantic interoperability. And at the same time, kind of the will to do the things interoperable. That work is done together in cooperation and co-working of public and private. That is something we have learned. That's really a lesson learned last years. We have to do that together. Municipalities cannot do this ourselves. They are too small, they are too many, they are too different. State cannot order anybody to do anything. So we have the common sense. And the private sector needs the public sector data as a basis. So we all need to be there, municipalities, state and private. And all this interoperability work is done together. That's marvelous. And what is good, we have very good tools for that, kind of good tools combining terms, data models and codes, and ending up having a kind of a library of data components for shared use. And the one thing in this public sector is to define that in the built environment, we don't need to define owner or company or address and so on. They are common attributes. They're common attributes. They are not specifically anything for built environment. They are common. So we are really asking them from the kind of a more general field again. Okay, whose task is it to define owner? Okay, we went to the Ministry of Finance, by the way. And then also the owner needs to be found in national registers. So we take it from there. So we really kind of peel this as an onion. This is not, this layer is general layer. We take it from the general level. This is additional information. Okay, you make it, but you link it here. Make it interoperable. And it seems now that we are succeeding. It seems really that this is already showing its strength. We are late. Okay, our government gave us some money to make a national register for land use plans and building data. Because of all these municipalities and their very different capabilities, we decided to make a hybrid model. So either municipalities and private sector can have their data in the national register, or they can have them on their own, but they need to fulfill the same requirements. So it's a hybrid model.
More notification.
Most expensive.
Give you a couple of minutes to finalize your presentations before we need to move on. Thank you.
Couple of minutes. No, I don't need it. No. The thing is that what I'm trying to say, the answer is not the national register or the national database we are building. That's not that's an one end result, but the answer is interoperability and standard formats, co-creation and open management. And that is something I would like to share with you in the near future, more and more, because that's something we are doing with the open international standards, the same standards you all, I hope, are using. So that's the way how we can really benefit each other. That's all.
Thank you, Minna and Heikki, for setting the stage for today's talks about how digitalization efforts can support the national agendas and where we are in regard to these national progresses. If you have, for the participants, if you have any questions regarding the presentation we heard from Heikki and Minna, please type in your messages to the chat by utilizing that function. We already have one great question from Gert van Oost in the chat, and I asked Heikki and Minna to prepare to answer for that question in the Q&A section after these presentations. But now we will move further to the Netherlands and hear about the development of the national agreement that was signed in 2016 and the process of the transition agendas for different value chains and what will be happening in the near future. But to set the mood for Suzanne Elias for her presentation, I will play a short video clip portraying concrete examples on the city level from the city of Amsterdam. So following this small clip, video clip, we will hear from Suzanne, and I will let you present that.
Our aim is for Amsterdam to be a thriving city where everyone can prosper, while maintaining respect for the Earth and its planetary boundaries. Our current way of life affects people and places all over the world. Our level of consumption is depleting raw materials and causing significant CO2 emissions elsewhere. To change this, we need to rethink the way we produce and consume. In other words, Amsterdam needs to become a circular city. But how? First, we examined the impact our actions have on other parts of the world and documented this in the Amsterdam City Donut, based on Kate Raworth's donut model. Second, we created a circular strategy with concrete actions regarding food, buildings and goods. Activities that not only reduce our own consumption and prevent waste, but also set an example for residents and businesses, like the Vondeltuin, the circular district Baaksluiterhalm, or our port serving as a circular hub. However, Amsterdam needs to do this as a whole. Together with residents and business, we are developing solutions both big and small. Many initiatives are already underway, which we support with coaching, funding, and sometimes as a launching customer. The COVID-19 crisis hit our society and economy hard. It's important that we recover from it in a way that benefits everyone. We need to stimulate the economy in a circular way for our prosperity and our future. Amsterdam, Circular City in 2050.
Hello, can you all hear me? This is Susan.
Yes,
Let me just share my presentation. I hope you can all see this. Thank you for having me here today. Great to be able to participate in this event from my home office in The Hague. close to Amsterdam, as everything is in the Netherlands. My name is Susanne Elias. I work as the Secretary of the Circular Economy Implementation Program for the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management, which coordinates the Dutch government's actions in the transition to a circular economy. Today, I will first briefly present some facts about the Netherlands. I will then touch upon the history of the circular economy program that we have, and then look forward to the coming years. It will therefore be a bit more of a general talk than the specialized ones focusing on construction and digitalisation, but I hope to tell you some more about this. Please feel free to ask questions or make remarks during the presentation, and know that the sheets will be shared afterwards. I will also share my contact information on the last slide if there are any questions or remarks after today. And please also know that I don't see all of you because I am screen sharing, so feel free to interrupt if you have a question. Well, first, some facts and figures on the Netherlands. As mentioned, small country by the North Sea. We have about 70 million inhabitants, surrounded by Belgium and Germany and their industrialized areas. And we have quite clear goals as the Dutch government. We want to achieve a circular economy by 2050, and we want to achieve 50% reduction in use of raw materials by 2030. And of course, the reason why is clear. I don't think I have to tell this very elaborated in this talk. World population is growing, prosperity is growing too. The use of raw materials is increasing rapidly, and Europe is depending on other countries for critical raw materials. So we will have to make our economy more sustainable for the future. We have done an assessment why this transition is not going to go automatically. As you see on the screen, businesses, but also private sector, public sector is still facing a lot of obstacles in legislation. External effects are not reflected in the price of products. We still see a lack of knowledge, among other reasons. And these reasons have made that the Dutch government wanted to take action towards private sector, businesses, consumer, but also for ourselves, for several government levels in the Netherlands. So what have we done and how are we going to achieve this? We have made a Dutch circular economy roadmap that I will tell more about today. Don't know if you can still see my screen. Yes. Well, the ambition is clear. We want to move from a linear to a circular economy. Characteristics are, of course, a high quality use of raw materials in existing value chains, the use of sustainably produced renewable and generally available raw materials, and a change to circular production, products, and consumption. Let's see if I can go to the next slides. We have started to form a national agreement on circular economy. This was signed in 2016. Parties that undersigned the agreement were united behind the general goals for 2030, 2050 that I just mentioned. Parties endorsed strategic goals and sub-goals. And an important moment for us was when we decided that only signatories of this national agreement could be involved in the development of transition agendas per value chain that I will touch upon later. And up until this day, we have around 400 plus signatories, including ministries, municipalities, businesses, but also a lot of knowledge institutions. Just checking if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks. So those transitions per value chain, I will highlight later what chains we have chosen, but we have chosen a way in which we have per value chain sub-goals for that specific chain, a vision for 2050, commitment of parties involved in a specific value chain. And we have worked on this from 2016 up until 2018. That is when this was presented. And also here, nice to share the rules of the game that we established, which has really made it easier to work on these transition agendas that very many of the signatories were involved in. We have been very constructive, attentive, and with respect. Contribution was voluntary but not optional, and we have had the government ambition that I just mentioned, 2030, 2050, as a starting point, and it was contribution was under the condition that existing agreements remained in force, such as green deals, agreements that were already set into place. So this is what we have ended up with. I will talk you through these sheets. On the left side, you see the transition agendas per value chain. So these are the 5 most important value chains in the Netherlands that will have to be more circular. On the right side, you see 5 interventions that are important for all the value chains and all the transition agendas, such as financing, intelligent market incentives, and as you can see in the bottom with the red arrows, well, that is the most important part, where the transition agendas and the interventions encounter each other and where we can really make an impact. As you can see, this implementation program, which is coordinated by the Dutch government, has started in 2019 and is running up until 2023. And also we are updating this program every year, so we can implement or take into account new ambitions, maybe new problems, things where we are going faster than we could have imagined. So that's very important for us as well. We have a yearly moment to update. Just with the eye on the time, for the priority value change, I will highlight the construction sector because of the topic of today. As you can see, some actions that have taken place there from 2018 up until now are the signing of a concrete agreement in 2018. Here I do not mean concrete actions. They are concrete actions, but I'm referring to the construction material concrete. This is of course used a lot in ground, road and hydraulic engineering. A very important moment that also stimulated innovation at this point. Secondly, we're stimulating circular projects, and it's important to highlight there that you could only submit an application for subventions or for stimulating packages if you are a joint venture or a consortia. So this is not meant for individual businesses, but really for cooperation and for innovation in value chains. So we are also having an innovation program on asbestos, because we still have a lot of that on Dutch rooftops. And when it comes to circular utilities and circular infra, this can be a nice crossover to the next slide, the interventions, where you can see in the second column, the intelligent market incentive, socially responsible procurement. That's of course an intervention where circular infra or circular utilities can really have the Dutch government as a launching customer. If we procure that at a circular way, it can really make it fly. Also for the construction center, some important or interesting interventions are the eco-design in the first column, fostering legislation and regulation. I think also important, and in the fourth column, the knowledge agenda and the knowledge map, where we really pinpoint what is needed in the construction center to make this transition, and we can stimulate that. So up until this point, in conclusion, we have first formulated the ambitions. We have then in 2016 had the National Agreement on Circular Economy as a starting point with the 400+ signatories. In 2019, we've had the implementation program, and that will run up until 2023. That is where we are now, but it's also very interesting to tell you a bit more what we will be doing the coming years. In March 2021, there will be elections for the Dutch lower house of parliament. And after that, during the course of this year, a new government and a new coalition agreement. This is very important for us because it will form the basis for new ambitions, actions, and budgets for circular economy in the period 2021-2025, which is the duration of a government period in the Netherlands. This will also, of course, be done for climate, education, etc. So we will all have new ambitions, new plans. In the meantime, of course, we are not standing still. We are continuing to update the implementation program annually. Actually, this month, for the first time, we will have a monitoring scheme of our National Plan Bureau. Don't know if that's the English word, but I hope you understand. And we see in the current public debates that stakeholders that they are both leaning towards further standardization and working with true pricing. As mentioned, not all external costs are bring into account. This is really seen as a bottleneck. So we will, in this coming time, try to see what we can do on that front. And as a last point, I think this will be for more people in this call. We are keeping a close eye on the European Green Deal and the European Circular Economy Action Plan that can stimulate action on a higher level or on a bigger scale. I want to end this presentation by highlighting a best practice from the Netherlands. We have a company here, Philips, that was founded in 1891 in the Eindhoven region. It has become a big company, a big electronic company focusing on light bulbs. Past decades, they have focused on becoming more of a healthcare company, but I think it's a great best practice that they have started to sell lighting. So people that buy this from this service from Philips, they don't buy their own light bulbs, they don't maintain their light infrastructure, but they just buy the service, and Philips will maintain, will do the maintenance, etc. So I think that's a really nice example of how such a big company that was already founded way before we were thinking about this transition can look for new business models and be a part of this development. That was what I wanted to share with you today. I will of course be here for the Q&A, and I will check the chat box to see if you have any questions at this point. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or remarks after today. I have also included in the sheet 2 websites with more information on circular trade with the Netherlands and where we are now. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Susanne, for giving us a great overview of the different updates regarding the progress in the Netherlands, and especially delighted to hear about the strong collaboration and dialogue that has been the founding part for your transition agenda in the Netherlands. And this is essentially the topic of our open discussion in the next part of the event today, and how to concretely then support these agendas in transitioning into circular economy and providing a solid structure and supporting tools for the everyday work that we have in the built environment for real estate and construction sector, and especially really answer to the green recovery now ahead of us. We will hear now from Jan Saar from Estonia and about the interesting e-construction platform that will provide certain answers to these questions presented by the speakers before today. Go ahead, Jan. I will let you take the online stage.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Sami, for the introduction, and also Susanne and Heikki and Minna for the great presentations beforehand. I will now try and share my screen. Hopefully this works. So hopefully you'll be able to see my screen.
Works well.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm Jan Saar. I'm the head of digital construction at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications in Estonia. And what I will be talking about briefly today is about circular economy on a very high level. I will introduce Estonia as well, because as far as I understand, we have a lot of international participants who might not be so familiar with our local community here. But I will focus most of all on the e-construction platform and how this supports the circularity principles, and how we can use the data, or what we need to use the data to really enable any of these great circular principles.
Jan, unfortunately, your voice is cutting off a bit. Maybe turn off your video camera to enable stronger connection.
Okay, that's weird. Let me just quickly check here. Maybe it's a problem with my microphone.
Now it's working fine. Now it's working fine. There were some messages through the chat as well that the sound was cutting off, but now it seems to be okay.
Okay, well, you never know.
Let's continue.
Hopefully it will. Let's continue and see if the problem arouses again. Just let me know if the problem comes up again, and I'll turn off the video as well. Okay, so Estonia, small country. Netherlands was mentioned, a small country. We're also a very small country, but we are proud of our kind of digital nature. We are called a digital society, one of the most digital societies in the world. We have 99% of our state services online. We use digital signatures every day. We have the e-identities. Every person in Estonia, every resident has one. Access.
Jan, unfortunately, the sound problem seems to be back. It might be the video taking a toll on the
Let's turn off the video.
Connection.
Okay. Can you hear me all right? Or is it still kind of breaking up?
It's better now.
Okay. Well, I will try to speak loud and clearly. Yeah, but as I was saying, we do a lot of things online, and we can attribute this to the identity we have and the digital signatures we use every day. Okay, so enough about the intro to Estonia. Let's talk about circularity, why we are here. And especially if we think about circularity and the built environment, we really need to take note, because the building's life cycle is responsible for half of all the materials, half of energy consumption, a third of the water consumption, and a third of the waste. So this is a very generalized view, but this applies very much in Estonia and throughout Europe as well. So what is the kind of root problem for us, especially in the Ministry of Economic Affairs, which is responsible for the construction industry legislation and a lot of the initiatives in Estonia? It is productivity and the lack of productivity, to be more precise. And it was already mentioned in previous presentations that the construction sector productivity is very low, and this means that there's a lot of waste in the process. It also means research has shown that the cause of the low productivity can be attributed also to low digitization. And if you look at the screen here, you can see construction is at the bottom of the list. This is a McKinsey study that was done some years ago already, but it shows that construction is one of the least digitized sectors in the world. And well, there's also other reasons: the fragmented nature, the long building life cycle, and the large amount of stakeholders involved. But without a doubt, construction is one of the most wasteful industries. And if we want to really improve our planet and our way of life here, we need to fix this. So what are the EU level initiatives are taken? These were already mentioned as well: the Green Deal, Circular Economy Action Plan, and the aim is to be climate neutral in Europe by 2050, and also to reduce emission already by 2030. And on this picture, you can see how Frans Timmermans and Kadri Simson, who is, by the way, Estonian, also the EU Energy Commissioner, they were introducing the Green Deal and the renovation wave at the European Commission. So I will talk a little bit more about the renovation wave later on and how it applies to Estonia as well. But when we come back to the circular economy principles, we are developing in Estonia a circular economy strategic document and action plan, and activities already were started in 2018. And this is led by the Ministry of the Environment in Estonia, so it's not the ministry I work for, but we work closely together. And I would like to thank Mikael Carlsberg, who provided me with some latest updates on this initiative. And we hope to have this strategic document and action plan and measurement tools in place by the end of this year. And when we come back to construction more specifically, then we also have developed a strategic document for the construction industry, and this is what we call kind of a long-term view on construction. So we're focusing on 2035 for the construction sector in Estonia. And in this document that we put together with many participants from companies, from the industry, through, I would say, a very good collaboration, we put together 7 key steps or objectives. And one of these objectives is the adoption of circular economy principles. So as you can see, circularity is very much in our minds and in our hearts. And we are taking steps towards this. Right now, it's still, a lot of it is building the action plan and figuring out exactly what we are going to do. But one of the activities, for example, is related to the renovation wave. And in Estonia, we need to renovate actually 54 million square meters by 2050. And we hope to achieve, energy savings of 60% and CO2 savings of 90%. So all of this reuses waste and promotes circularity. And we can't really do this with traditional methods. So that's why we've launched a pilot project where we want to renovate common apartment buildings with factory-produced elements, and also find digital tools. And the picture here shows you one of the first pilots we did, where the elements were produced in a factory, shipped on site, and then put in place. And these elements include both the windows and the ventilation, insulation, etc., and makes the whole process a lot faster and a lot more kind of better managed. So yeah, this is one of the principles, and the goal is to have turn this into something like this. So this is what circularity is about. We're renovating, we're reusing. We are not always demolishing and building something new, but we are working with what we have, right? So this example is actually from Russia, but similar principles apply to Estonia and the former Soviet states in the Eastern Bloc of Europe. So let's talk now about data. And when you think about all these activities, actions we want to undertake, these all require a large amount of data. We have to make decisions based on accurate data. In Estonia, we have already a fully digital building registry, which is kind of the digital database of the built environment. And we have 100% digital building permit process, etc. And this system, building registry, is managed by the ministry I work at. But the goal is to transition from just having a registry and a processing system into a platform. And this is what we are developing now. It is called the e-construction platform. And if you summarize the vision of the e-construction platform, then it is the lossless exchange of standardized and trustworthy data between all stakeholders throughout the building lifecycle. So this means we're connecting kind of the data and services that are related to construction, design, and management of buildings, also infrastructure. And as I mentioned before, we are not doing this just to digitize, but we want to make better decisions by utilizing better data. And I think Minna made a very important point about stressing interoperability. And actually, what this platform aims to do is also to support and enable interoperability. And of course, we want to make building information modeling business as usual. But the most exciting part of this platform development is that it allows us to create new digital products and services. And many of these can be linked to circularity, but we don't really know all of them. They're going to be on this platform. But let's take another look. Another way of looking what the platform is. So you have a classical view of database at the below level. In the middle level, we have services in blue boxes, and on top of it, we have a user interface. So right now, I'm showing you kind of the building registry services as they are now, but we are expanding these services, and we are bringing them to a common platform. So we are creating utility network services for land survey guys, for 5G mobile towers. This means we will be adding more user interface layers as well. We are adding BIM models to the process through the BIM-based building permit system, automated checks, and energy efficiency applications as well. The digital twin is a key aspect of this platform. So we want to visualize the data, not just in 2D, but we are stereoscopic beings, so we use 3D. And this means connecting more databases. So we're not creating a super database as such, but it is a distributed architecture. And the main goal is to connect and make data within these databases interoperable. And we're not talking only about our services in our ministry. We're talking also about other public services. For example, the planning services are managed by the Ministry of Finance in Estonia, etc. And then we come to the private sector services, where which we really hope to have on the platform, and we hope will the creation of this platform will speed up their development and their uptake and their use. So essentially, the e-construction platform is formed by the service layers, and it is not a big system itself. The services are the system, but the platform is a common architecture, a common language, and a common philosophy. And the philosophy being that we are reusing each other's data. So again, it's the same circularity principle, but applied to data. So we have to start with making data interoperable, start reusing the data we have, instead of always creating new data and then discarding it in later phases. And one of the more exciting projects I wanted to mention here as well is BIM-based permit checks, where we want to automate the way people are checking right now the building permit applications, to apply smart algorithms to do a lot of the work for us. And this project is actually done in cooperation with a Dutch company, Future Insight. So we're very happy to work with them. We already did a proof of concept together with them. And this was also funded by the
Jan, sorry to cut you off again, but it seems that the problems still remain. Maybe we could try once more to finalize your presentation with not utilizing the full screen mode. Often that enables better connection to the internet and is easier for your computer. So let's see if that works. Please go ahead, and we'll reserve time for some questions as well.
Okay, no problem. Let me just quickly check which network I'm connected to. So I don't know what the problem is, but let's get forward to it. I hope you can hear me better now. I've taken off the full screen part. And actually, I don't really have that many slides to go through that I wanted to share with you today. Of course, just quickly. Yeah. Here's an example of the digital twin that we're developing. Some screenshots. I'm not going to go into a live demo. This is a national digital twin, and we're connecting different data sources. Utility networks are already here. Geological data, and you can do a lot of interesting stuff with this. Roads, you can download parts of this model and use it in your design applications. You can go into a lot more detail than we are currently doing for the whole country. This is the Tallinn Old Town, and you can also visualize vegetation there through point clouds, and this is just an example of how we can then apply this digital twin. This shows the height restrictions imposed by Tallinn Airport around Tallinn, and you can really visualize that in the digital twin. And a quick word about classification. I encourage you to look up ccicollaboration.org. So this is the common language we are using for the built environment, and which we hope will allow us even better interoperability between countries and different markets. But yeah, that's it from my side. So I'm sorry that there were some hiccups with the connection, but you know, this can.
It seems to be the normal day of the new normal, so to say. We are not able to predict what will happen through internet connections on a day-to-day basis. But thank you, Jan, for your presentation. And as promised, if there are now questions from the audience for what you saw and heard from Jan's presentation, please use the raise a hand function on the bottom bar toolbar there, and I will give you your turn so you can comment and ask Jan. But you can also continue to write your questions in the chat boxes and comment on there. I will also ask Vesa Silver from Motiva to prepare for starting your presentation. But thank you, Jan, for ending with a note on the highlight of international collaboration, and our aim is to, with this event and further events on this topic, to strengthen that collaboration between Finland, Estonia, and the Netherlands, as it seems that our approaches are well connected, and there's so much that we can learn from each other. And I know that in Finland there has been a strong focus on following the development of the e-construction platform, and there will also be some concrete examples of how to connect that with the surrounding industry in Vesa's presentation about Motiva's ecosystem platform. So interesting ideas there ahead. There is now one question from Rob Omen from Madaster in the chat box. Hi, Jan, great presentation and initiative. Is this platform founded and operated by the Estonian government, or is it a private or public-private initiative?
Yeah, I was just going through my settings here to make sure if I can change the microphone. I think it might be a problem with the microphone in my headset. Is the sound better now? Can you hear me okay?
Seems to be a bit clearer. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the question, the initiative is started by the Estonian government, but it is built all on open standards as much as possible. And we are right now going to release a developer portal for this e-construction platform, so that everybody can really utilize the services already on the platform and to bring their services on the platform as well. So it is, yeah, it has to be, at least for now, it is operated by the government, but with very strong collaboration in the private sector.
Thank you, Jan. Another question from Gert van Oost. Is in Estonia the building permit application with BIM check an application that runs in the local government or a national check via the web-based interface? All citizens architects must submit their permit in 3D then.
The building registry is the system where we run all building permits in Estonia. And it is a digital system currently. It doesn't support at the moment BIM models. The functionality that we're adding is to start using BIM models, so you can upload a model. You don't have to upload a bunch of 2D drawings in a zip file. And with these BIM models, we can then apply automated machine checks. And yes, this is fully web-based, and it is used by all local governments, local authorities, municipalities in Estonia. And yeah, hopefully by the end of the year, all of these municipalities will be able to take advantage of BIM as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Jan. And to conclude the presentations for today, before we'll opening up all the mics and you can more freely comment on the subject matter, I will invite Vesa Silfer from Motiva to present their online ecosystem platform for circular economy. Please take the online stage, Vesa.
Okay, some problem, of course, now with sharing the presentation. Let's see. I'll try it again.
At least we can see you well in the middle of snowy Helsinki, which
exactly
looks a bit like London, though.
Yeah, I didn't manage to get from this morning the snowy environment in my camera to put it on the screen. I actually did a lunch break by, as every knowledge worker should, I was pushing the snow on our yard. So there is greetings from snowy Finland, Helsinki, or Espoo to be exact. There is a snowstorm. I guess Estonians are also experiencing it. Not sure if you guys in Netherlands are experiencing something similar right now. So thank you for inviting me to this event to tell a little bit about the plan of developing a circular economy platform and an ecosystem around it. First of all, a few words about Motiva. We are a sustainable development company and we are owned by Finnish government. And Motiva has a long experience in promoting energy and material efficiency in Finland and at the EU level. We are also doing collaboration at the EU level. 25 years ago, Motiva was founded. Motiva has supported the Finnish public sector and the different industries in improving material efficiency in various ways. For example, we have a food and packaging industry related voluntary material efficiency agreement ongoing, and we have been involved in bringing the industrial symbiosis activities to Finland together with the Finnish Innovation Fund, Sitra. Lately, we also supported Finnish Ministry of Environment in developing and launching a material marketplace called Materiaalitori. The actual website, it's more a data platform for declaring different waste and side streams, and it's ensuring that different actors on the market have a chance of providing services in the material and side stream waste processing. Motiva's subsidiary, Motiva Services, provides sustainable development services to companies and municipalities. And now you can see on the slide some strategic projects. You can see that the whole visual image of the slide comes from the donut economy. Maybe you know the term by Kate Raworth. So how can we build successful businesses and welfare for people within the boundaries of the planet? And as you can see, these busy bees are going around fertilizing the environment. One of our busy bees is focusing on platform ecosystem for materials in circular economy. And with this project, we want to increase our impact through digital platform and ecosystem development next to this material market, Materiaalitori. And the problem is that it is difficult, or we cannot solve circular challenges with linear thinking. The circular material flows do not follow a predictable linear supply chain logic that has been the foundation of success in the businesses over the past decades. We have done some research and some development work, and we are at somewhat early phases. I will show a roadmap going forward, but we are at concept development phase at the moment. But in our development, we have discovered that many actors find it difficult to implement circular operating models in practice. And one important key is to enable secure sharing of material flow data between the organizations. This will enable more collaborative circular value creation. We began our development with built environment actors since, as you have heard from the Estonian representative Jan's excellent presentation, over half of material is used in the society's buildings and infrastructure. And Motiva also has facilitated renovation strategy for Finland together with some research institutions, which was made by Ministry of Environment. And within this renovation strategy for Finland for the next 20 years, there was a significant target to reduce the CO2 emissions of built environment by 90% over the next 20 years. A big part of this is from operating time emissions when the building is used and what kind of energy it is using and so on. But there is also significant relevance on the materials. There is an estimate in Finland by the construction industry that about 5% of the CO2 emissions come directly from the buildings material and how they are used. But this could be underestimated because when I have been involved in these discussions, some of the big global companies say that only 20% of the material CO2 emissions are directly due to the material, and a lot of it is from other reasons related with logistics and so on. And that's only with the materials. We had discovered also that the information both on material properties and availability, as well as logistics, processing, refinement services, and so on, it should be available so that the planners, the engineering companies, and the property owners can actually plan the material circulation in an optimal way. The companies are facing a strategic question when they are doing renovation and demolition work and so on. What material circulations are actually financially and ecologically sustainable, considering the maturity of the circular market? You heard what is the construction market, the productivity development speed. There is a challenge when we chose to start this development with construction. It is not the most dynamic business or industry to take on new approaches. But there is examples. For example, if you remove a gypsum board, a plaster board, or a window in one piece on a renovation site, they will get a new life with construction material companies, for example. But the problem is how to connect the dots, as Sami said earlier. The platform ecosystem, it combines circular demand and supply. It harmonizes and enriches data for circular material flows across industries. And note, we emphasize the across industries. I will tell you later a little bit why. It combines services to support material circulation, and it connects data platforms and marketplaces across industries so that the materials find optimal use from both ecological and financial perspective. The platform ecosystem serves both material sources and the ones needing the materials, the material users, as well as the service providers and material processing parties. The different kinds of digital and physical service innovators can create new services from material and data flows. The Finnish government has, as you heard, set an ambitious goal to reach carbon neutrality by 2035. And as you heard from Heikki's presentation, one of the levers we have is the public procurement. In Finland, there is over 6 billion euros of annual public procurement in construction and infrastructure sectors based on the public data available. And therefore, the public sector can definitely accelerate the transition to circular economy by taking into account the needs of circularity in their procurement. There are many platforms, marketplaces, and networks developing currently to promote data sharing and circular economy. The platform ecosystem aims to build interoperability between these actors across industries so that they can optimize material reuse. Most of the Finnish actors named on this slide are actually already involved in the development of this platform. And some of the international companies have contacted us for discussion on collaboration. I know that some of you guys are already on this call. We are considering other material streams outside of built environment. For example, household appliances and building technology solutions could naturally take us to electronics material circulation. As a first step, we will be branding the platform ecosystem in near future. You can imagine what it is to give a presentation and just to tell first the name of what we are doing, the circular economy platform ecosystem. That's a mouthful. So we want to simplify our communication, but we have been running this project only like half a year. More intensively, we are at early stages. During 2021, we will run a series of regional pilots which help us focus on solving concrete, and yes, it could be concrete, referring to Suzanne's presentation, but it might not, let's see, concrete challenges in material circulation. The first pilot is in Pirkanmaa region, which is a major economic region in Finland, but we have discussions already with the capital region also. And the idea is also to build a platform membership concept, which probably will be published during the spring, so that more of the stakeholders could be involved in kind of steering the development of the platform. And I know that some of the stakeholders, I mean businesses, for example, and some cities want to position themselves and build brand as forerunners in circular economy. And this could be one way how they can be doing that. The minimum viable product will be ready by next summer. And we are involved in the preparation of European-wide secure data infrastructure called GaiaX, which was mentioned in von der Leyen's speech where she was setting out the future directions. And we have proposed that there should be a Gaia Circ domain. We have discussed this topic within that ecosystem in Finland and would like to discuss with you guys also if some of you are interested. So the original GaiaX data infrastructure use cases are more industry specific. So there is energy and mobility and banking and so on. But actually the most vicious data sharing challenges come when you are crossing the industry borders, and a lot of innovation, as you know, from banking and the mobile operators, mobile phone operators, a lot of the innovations also arise when you cross the traditional borders. I think the green recovery in EU will raise strong interest in the circularity anyways, so that would be good for GaiaX Circ also. So if you're interested in building EU-level collaboration around circular economy and material flows, please contact us. I'm actually doing a master's thesis, my second master's in Henley Business School, in the British Business School Executive MBA. And I interviewed 14 Finnish stakeholders from built environment and environmental services industries for my thesis. And this is what they actually expected from the circular economy platform and the ecosystem. I will be hiding these, not for purpose, but it's easier not to start explaining every detail. But they expect that the platform owner should remain neutral and mission driven. Many respondents, many people are interviewed, both companies and municipality owned waste management companies. They described that it would be problematic if a very profit-driven organization would be providing this kind of data exchange and kind of harmonization, support the harmonization. Another perspective was the platform scope, and here I'm coming to the cross-industry topic. So the platform should aim at closing the local industry loops, closing the local cross-industry loops while being globally scalable. So most of the interviews said this is actually relevant in the cross-industry context because a lot of the circular flows are across industries. Then when talking about the platform openness and the coordination and sharing of value in the openness and coordination. They expect that this kind of platform should be open access and secure while protecting business secrets. So the kind of visibility aspects are important in these kinds of platforms and the ecosystem, and it should generate shared value and enable new circular partnerships. And it's good to know that when we are talking about this platform and the platform ecosystem, it's almost like a sandbox where we haven't defined exactly the borders and the core. We are still in that process where we are defining what kind of enriching data is needed for different material processes and how this connects actually with built environment registries and the kind of private businesses I know which are present for building these kinds of concepts for the built environment, how to build this interaction between them. So this is one piece in the puzzle. I believe there will be many pieces, but I love this idea of semantic interoperability and not building everything as one solution. So we try in our part support this idea. I welcome you to join us on this journey. So let's develop a circular, low carbon society. Thank you.
Thank you, Vesa, for the presentation and putting out this ambitious goal of yours with this kind of a ecosystem platform to support this transition and also extending this invitation, as I think this is great ground for landing into Finland and joining the local ecosystem here to develop the solutions we have, and as we are on a very international call still, this is a great place to start seeing what would be the opportunities in Finland for your company here as well, and this is also the similar case with the construction platform. So great gateways for strengthening this international collaboration around this topic. And now I think we have heard a great story of the recent developments, great examples of how digitalization can support circular economy, and why essentially we organized this event with the Embassy of the Netherlands in Finland and the Baltics.